And you really were handicapping the weather, and you saw that it looks like it's going to be great for the next, at least through Saturday when you had to be here anyways.
This time of year when you start looking at 10-day forecast, you're going to drive yourself crazy, but I was a little concerned. The weather was so pleasant in Florida, and horses were doing really well, and I just, I didn't want to ship into a situation if I knew that it was going to rain. Forecast started to look a little better, and I was a little concerned about having to breeze in Florida on Friday and get on a van right after breezing, ship up here because we've got to be on the grounds by 11 a.m. Saturday for the Oaks and Derby horses, so kind of forced my hand a little bit.
Fierceness looks like such an athlete. I mean, he's just long and lanky and gets over the ground quickly.
Yeah, he's super laid back, very efficient. Took everything in stride this morning, first day out there, and I've seen him kind of grow through the course of the winter and the spring. And, he's become a leggy sort that I think is still filling into his frame, and just kind of scary to think that there might be some improvement there still.
Was he one of the ones that just really popped for you when you first got him?
No, he was very laid back, very quiet. His initial breezes were always good, always as good as whoever he was with, and the first 5 furlong breeze we had with him at Saratoga was the day kind of his coming out party for us. It was kind of a wow breeze, and from that point on, he's always impressed us.
He's flashed enormous talent, but sometimes it doesn't show quite like it does in other races.
60% of the time, he wins every time.
How do you get your arms around? Can you explain? I mean, it must drive you nuts.
Yeah, I think if you go back and you look at the 2 replays of his losses, they're very similar. He first of all in the Champagne, he hopped at the start, and then he got bumped pretty solidly. Took him out of his rhythm a bit. And the same thing, if you watch the Holy Bull, it's a very roughly run race into the first turn. You got sandwiched from both sides. Johnny had to kind of ride him into position, and then he got a little bit ranked going around the first turn. And at that point, he settled into a good rhythm, and I still expected him to win from there. But I think when you look back at it, that might have been asking a little too much, because it was a pretty rough quarter of a mile at the beginning, and thankfully everything went much smoother in the Florida Derby, and he was able to show what he's all about.
Knowing this is a roughly run race many times, how do you reconcile yourself with all that?
You don't. You hope. So much going to depend on how you draw in the post position, and which horses draw next to you on each side can impact it. And but we'll just do everything we can to prepare him to be well behaved in the gate and ready to get off to an alert position and alert start and get into a good position and go from there.
How would Repole react to winning the Derby, you think?
I think he'd be pretty excited. He's a guy that I think not only would he enjoy the moment, but I think he'd appreciate how hard it is to do, and so he I'd love for him to be able to experience that.
Especially
You characterize Repole as not easily discouraged?
No, he's not discouraged. He's not easily discouraged. He's he's a very thoughtful guy. I think for some of us know him a lot better maybe than his public persona, and he's a kind-hearted person and very giving, and very emotional about everything and life in general, and his family and his horses, and so yeah, it's been a lot of fun training for him, and we've got a really good relationship, and in situations like last year when you have a heartbreaking scratch like that, that's when you find out who your true loyal owners are.
Do you find yourself holding your breath more with, you do this every day. I've had thousands of horses and top horses, but you've also had 2 two-year-old champions make it to Churchill Downs, and not make the starting gate. So you're not just looking at getting a post position, you're looking at being in that post position. But does that make you hold your breath a little more with this horse?
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I mean, to have, Uncle Mo not make it is probably going to be the favorite. To have Forte not make it was going to be the favorite and beat the Florida, beat the Derby winner in the Florida Derby 4 weeks or 5 weeks before. So, sure, we're here with one horse with one chance, and so I think that that adds to the pressure of the moment. But it's also we're blessed to be in the situation.
Do those things linger with you, or are you able to easily get over them? Like when you came back yesterday, was last year on your mind at all?
I mean, last year's been on my mind for a year, and who knows how many years it'll be on your mind, to get that close with a real opportunity. But that's the nature of this game, and you've got to be able to shake off some tough moments, or you're not going to survive.
What was the conversation between you and Mike after you were told there was a scratch last year?
Well, Mike was here. He was here for it, and so he got the notification the same time that we did,
right.
And it was just frustrating because obviously the horse was fine shortly thereafter and was able to run a great race in the Belmont considering everything. Yeah, I mean, you try to put it behind you the best you can and keep moving forward.
So Mike Repole, obviously a New York guy, and he has talked before about how much winning the Belmont, winning the Travers meant to him, and like that to him was the pinnacle. That's what he said. Now, you've won those races multiple times, and you've won the Kentucky Derby multiple times. If he could win the Derby, might he, and we're in Kentucky, so perhaps that's why I'm asking this question, might he reevaluate what is the pinnacle?
My guess would be if you asked him that same question now that he's won the Travers and the Belmont, that he'd change his answer.
Is that what drives him? I mean, at the end of the day, to win this race? Because it seems like that is.
I think that's one of the things that drives him. Yeah, I think this is certainly one of the races, if not the race, that he'd like to win most now that he's been able to win the Belmont and the Travers, and so it's might have still been pretty high up on the list even before those, but being a New York guy, I think he was. I mean, those were special to him as well.
Won this a couple times. Would 150 mean anything more than a normal? You know what I mean?
No, I mean it's a great it's a great thing that the Kentucky Derby's been now going to be run for the 150th time, but I don't know that I would savor that one any more than 149 or 151.
They made a pretty extraordinary step here, obviously shutting down for quite a while last year. Is there any difference in the racing surface that you've seen?
It appears as though they've made some changes to the surface. It looks like a different material. It's a little different color. I think I'll get a better handle on that when we breeze our horses.
You talk about Leslie's Rose a little bit, and you've got a couple of Oaks horses also just on the outside, right? You're trying to get in?
Yeah, Leslie's Rose coming off I thought an impressive win in the Ashland, and she had just kind of one blemish on her record when she kind of got stuck in behind traffic in the Devonna Dale, but I thought, for her first two-turn experience, the Ashland win was quite good. We've got Candied, who got behind schedule a little bit, was a close fourth in the Ashland, so I think she's right now one or two deep on the AE. We'd certainly love to see her draw in. She's been a little bit unlucky drawing the one hole in her last couple of races, and was closing well in the juvenile fillies, and so we'd love to get a chance. We have another filly named Monument Gold who just came in from Dubai that I'm going to say she had some travel complications, and quarantine lasted longer than originally expected. Right now I'd say she's behind schedule, so we'll give her a breeze over the track and see, but at the moment I'm kind of leaning more towards pointing it for the Acorn on Belmont Day with her.
The Oaks looks like an incredibly deep field. Fair?
I think it's a very deep and open race. Yeah.
So how do you navigate that, knowing that you have a couple on the outside, you've got a horse that can clearly win it, but it's going to be a real challenge?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest challenge is getting in with Candied for sure. We have no control over it though, so all we can do is prepare her and then see where we are.
But you feel like Leslie's Rose compares favorably with the other?
I think her Ashland win was arguably the most impressive prep leading into to this race. But again, it appears like there's a lot of good fillies.
Todd, Fierceness and Sierra Leone are probably going to get a lot of comparisons this week as the two favorites. I was wondering, in your position, is it better in this race? You know you're going to be forwardly placed versus a Sierra Leone who's going to be coming from the back. Can you talk about those differences, and especially in a race like this?
Yeah, I mean it can be challenging for in both scenarios. Depending on your post position, how quick they go early on. I mean there's definitely some merit to if you have some tactical speed and if you can clear yourself of a good portion of the field. That's certainly helpful if you're closing from way back, and you're gonna have to have a few more things go your way and find room when you need it when you're moving forward. So, but if they go super fast up front, then that's certainly gonna benefit the closer. So it's not easy either way it unfolds.
What should we expect from their breezes this weekend?
I think we've done most of our major work at home, and I would expect some solid breezes, but we're not looking to overdo it.
On Saturday?
Leaning right now towards the fillies on Thursday and Fierceness on Friday, but we get the flexibility and kind of continue to watch the forecast.
How many horses do you have for Repole?
Quite a few.
What did you think when he sold his latest, big business he sold and decided, okay, now I'm full-time in horse racing? He wasn't full-time before, and his action at the sales showed he was really stepping it up. What was your reaction to that? Like, all of a sudden you got a lot more horses for him.
Yeah, no, he told me what his plan was, and that he was going to the September sale with intentions of stepping up his purchasing, and he certainly did that the last couple of years.